All right, this one's for the athletes who don't have equipment. If you're one athlete who doesn't have essentially access to gym equipment, overall being able to load and resistance, it doesn't mean you can't keep getting better. Here is my 7 favorite body weight exercises for the lower body for all athletes. Let's get into them. All right, first and foremost, one of my all-time favorite lower body exercises, especially for body weight, is going to be a isometric hold. It's just gonna be a simple split squat where we're gonna get into a deep range of motion, and now I'm gonna sink down. What I'm looking for is my hips to be at knee level. Now from this position, we think that we're just yielding and just holding this position. But contrary to that, what I actually want the athlete to do is I want them to focus on pulling this way with the front leg and with the back leg pulling, almost like they're trying to bring scissors together. So as they're holding this, they're actively pulling that together while they hold that. Now the next step or the next progression to this is just put rear foot elevated. So you might think of a Bulgarian split squat. So the athlete's just rear foot elevated, right? And again, as opposed to just holding, they're actively pulling their feet together, trying to make their thighs come together as they hold that position. All right, for number 2, this is gonna be more of a posterior chain. It's another isometric, but I think it's really great to be able to activate the posterior chain. Obviously, when it comes to body weight, it's extremely tough to be able to get the stimulus you want to your posterior chain, especially the glutes, especially without using resistance or load. So one of the ones that I like to do is use time and isometric. So the athlete's gonna go into what we call a Chinese plank. So they're essentially gonna extend out as far as they possibly can, right? A normal one is gonna be 2 feet, and right, keeping the hips forward. To make this a little bit more aggressive, I'm gonna put this leg in the air. Now, what I'm looking for, instead of being completely flat, you wanna be extended out as far as you possibly can. Make sure your hips are in full extension, you're not having them flexed. But, however, what you do wanna do is you want the knee to be slightly flexed, so you're putting a little bit more on the hamstring. So the glute and hamstring is firing at the exact same time here, and they're just gonna build up in time. If you could start off with 30 seconds, great. If we could build this to a minute, amazing. Again, this is another great one for us to load, to be able to activate the hamstrings and the glutes at the same time. Third one, we're gonna stay with isometrics here. This is gonna be an iso step down. This is one of my favorite drills that I sprinkle in, even when I have a weight room, to be able to build stability across the knee. So what I'm looking for the athlete to do is basically stand on top of a bench, having both feet on. Now, from this position, keeping their heels on the ground, they're gonna go ahead and sink as far as they possibly can, pushing the knee forward over the toe. Now, holding this hip angle, this knee angle, right, and this ankle, I'm gonna have that athlete with the opposite leg touch the ground, come back up. I don't wanna see the athlete bouncing here. A lot of times, they don't have the strength in the VMO to be able to hold that position. I'm trying to have them make sure that they lock in those joint angles and be able to touch. Start with about 10 each side. Make sure you're doing both sides, obviously, and try to build up to about 3 different sets. This is a great corrective exercise, but another great body weight exercise. Immediately going from that, we can progress that drill into what we call a decel step up. So this is gonna work more of the eccentric through that full range of motion, where the other one was an isometric hold at a specific joint angle. This one here, we're gonna focus on coming down under control, right? Working the same range of motion, or through the full range of motion, if you will, where the athlete's gonna stand on the side of the bench. From here, they're going to sink down. So it's important that the athlete keeps their heel on the ground, right? And that their knee stays forward. So they're gonna push their knee forward, they're gonna come down, they're gonna kiss their heel to the ground and come back up under control. So you can see that entire movement is under control. They're not pushing their hip back. That's taking it off the knee. It's actually working a little more hip. I want them to sink straight down, kiss that heel, come back up under control. Again, 3 sets of 10 with this is gonna absolutely fry you. Just to give you a bonus, a variation to this is gonna be a crossover decel step up. So they're gonna go inside leg, athlete will do the same thing, but they're gonna tap the toe, completely under control, tap, come back up. Again, control it through the eccentric and concentric portion of the movement. All right, so this next one, we're gonna work in that frontal plane, right? So this is gonna be kind of a 2-part movement. So this is gonna be curtsy to lateral lunge. So what I want the athlete to do is stand with toes forward. Try to stay square in your hips and your shoulders. They're gonna take their range of motion. They're gonna reach that back leg as far as they possibly can, staying square, under control, lift up, take a big step as deep as they can, shooting the hips back and trying to get as deep as they can. Reset, come underneath, push out, hips back, under control. What do I see wrong here sometimes? So athletes, to try to get that range of motion, if they don't have it, they'll actually start to turn out, right? That places way too much stress. Just take what the range of motion gives you, try to stay square in the hips, reach back, sink the hip down, under control. Now when they push out laterally, I want you to take the biggest step. And what I see is athletes shoot that knee forward, and we actually want to shoot the hips back and sink that hip down, pushing off the inside of the leg, rebounding back to the original position. That's gonna be the curtsy to lateral lunge. So this next one looks more of a core movement, but it's absolutely gonna attack your abductors and adductors of the hip. I absolutely love this. Copenhagen is another great exercise, but for me, this is one of those that I absolutely love to do with repetition. So they're gonna get into a side plank position. Try to be as flat as a board. Don't sink your hips back and stay flexed. You wanna stay extended as you can. Now coming up in this position, they're gonna sink their hip down, and as they raise up, they're gonna lift their leg up. So as they raise up, they're gonna lift their leg up each time. So it's gonna be side plank to hip abduction. Last but not least, one of my all-time favorite is gonna be a single joint isolated movement for the actual hamstrings. This is gonna be what we call a Nordic hamstring curl. If you don't have this apparatus, completely fine. You can go ahead and have your partner, your parents, whoever it is, your teammate, hold your ankles down. We call these buddy hamstring curls. We've been doing these since high school. I think this is an amazing drill. Obviously, there's enough evidence out there online that shows how it reduces overall knee injury, especially ACL. To me, it's just one of those that we want to continue to stay strong in, that I program with my guys throughout an entire off season. So what I want the athlete to do is, from an extended position of the hips, they're essentially staying as long as they possibly can, and they're just gonna lower themselves down as much as they can till they reach that threshold, and then they're gonna push up with as much as they need and then come back up. Very simple. The mistake I see made here is that the athlete starts to bend at the waist. We want to try to stay as extended as we possibly can, lead with the sternum, and usually what that does is when you tell them to lead with the sternum, that they actually stay long in that torso. Have your hands there ready to catch, boom, and pull yourself back up in the original position. Another amazing, great exercise for the hamstring and lower body overall, especially when it comes to body weight exercises. There you have it, guys. Those are my 7 favorite body weight exercises for the lower body for athletes across the board. So there's no excuses. If you don't have gym equipment, you can continue to get better. So utilize those inside your programming, along with your sprinting, your jumping, your agility drills, and you will overall become a better athlete. I hope that helps. I'll catch you guys next time.